Should be on the left-hand side. Oh. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the weekly webcast. I appreciate the fact that you're here, and we're going to start our broadcast. This is week 4 of our webcast, and so we are starting to get a little bit better at this, and we're starting to put together some different visitors, and I've invited some different people to show up today, and we'll see who actually shows up and what sort of answers and questions we get back and forth. And so I'm going to try a few different things in this webcast to see if it's possible to do some of the strange things that Google Hangouts allows us to do. I've invited my brother to come in, and we'll see if he's actually capable of getting in here. We'll have to see, because it's all touch and go sometimes. We have tried a couple of different Hangouts during the week. Some of them we did just with strict audio, and some of them we did with just straight chatting to see how it works and whether or not it works better that way. And we found some very interesting aspects of those different types of Hangouts. But for today, what we're going to do is we're just going to go through a few different things about the online course that we have. One of the things that I'm not very good at is discussing myself and things I like to do, and the reason why I have joined this company and why we are looking at the possibility of taking over the project management world by storm, because we have the ability to do some things that other people are not capable of doing. And what I mean by that is for the last 13 years of my life, I was an educator. I worked at the school division here in Saskatoon, and my last portfolio, or my last activity, was the development of an online school. And so during that time, I developed a lot of different techniques on how to make interactive online course material, or the ability to transfer knowledge via the web. What I learned during that time is there's a lot of different criteria when you talk about online courses, and a lot of online courses have got a bad name because a lot of people will look at a manual or a textbook, and they will digitize that and they'll put it online, and then chapter by chapter they will add a few questions at the end of the chapter and then say that they have an online course. At the post-secondary level, which is the lecture model of education in most situations, the prof will end up offering the PowerPoints, so then you can see the PowerPoint presentation that he would do, and then they may record a video of them standing in front of the PowerPoint, and then they will put questions at the end of that, and then that becomes their online course. The problem with all of that is that you lose a lot of the features that are available via the web, also available via the learning management system. So those two elements, the learning management system and the web, bring a lot of tools to the table that will change the way you approach the course. If you're just relying on yourself as a subject matter expert and the textbook, you're not utilizing the complete power of having the largest library in the world right behind you in the World Wide Web. And so now when I talk about a subject matter, any subject, I can go out there and find websites, I can find videos, I can find games, I can find crosswords, I can find all sorts of material on almost any topic in the world. And because all of that stuff is already created, it makes it very easy to pull those resources together and put them into a course which is a little bit more than just me standing in front of you like what I'm doing here and talking. And that is a feature that you need to bring into your course. The second thing you need to bring into your course is, because in a face-to-face classroom, when you close the door, you're normally teaching to the lowest common denominator, because you don't want to lose the people who are not capable of moving at the speed of the people who are very quick. And so an online environment allows the student to determine the speed at which they would like to work. And because it's what we call asynchronous, which means you can work at your own speed and you're working as a self-paced, you can decide how quickly or how slowly you'd like to go through the material. As a classroom teacher, a lot of times what we did is we had work for the most advanced students. We'd give them a little bit supplemental work that will challenge them a little bit more than what we were doing in the face-to-face classroom. We'd dummy stuff down for the students who are a little slower, and then you would give them more work in order to give them the basic concepts. The people in the middle normally do very well because that's normally where you're teaching to, and the majority of your students should be there. The unfortunate thing is that there's a whole other group of students that are involved in that, and that's the students who don't learn very well when it comes to auditory. So if you don't use your PowerPoint and you don't use your slides, the visual learners tend to get lost. If you're just doing what I'm doing now, where you're standing in front of people and talking, the visual learners tend to get lost. The most successful method of educating is normally to have some projects and to involve the students in the learning process. And so if you're a learner who learns by doing, the online course can also do that if it's created properly. If it's just a textbook and you're reading material, again, comprehension becomes very important because some students or some learners are not very good at reading and comprehending and have to read things 2 or 3 times. So you want to involve as many different elements of the different learning styles that exist out there in order to make things a little bit more exciting for people. And so those are the type of things that we try to incorporate into the course, into this project management course, to make it a little bit more exciting. Now, for some reason, I have one viewer here, which I think is probably my brother. I'm just going to look because he's actually sitting in the room next to me here, so he can't log on. Okay, so he's actually viewing from the outside. So what I will get him to do is I'm going to get him to come into this room, and then we're going to do a joint little interview conversation here together, because he is a businessman of 30 different years. And I'll introduce him again here in a second. Sorry about that breakdown. This is my brother Scott.
Hello to the thousands and thousands of people that have joined in. It's always an interesting way to start when you can't actually use the technology in which you're performing on, but good to be here.
What I've asked Scott to do, he's visiting, he's from Victoria, he runs his own company in Victoria, and I'm going to get him to do a shameless plug of his business here so that he can attract some visitors to his website as well. So I'll get him to talk just briefly about what he does, and then I'll explain to you how I've been utilizing his vacation time in order to make my job a little easier here and to pick his brilliant brain on how to do things. So Scott, tell us a little bit about your business.
So the business is the representation of airfield lighting in Canada, and we partner with the world's, honestly, the world's best providers of those products. It's called Canadian Airfield Solutions. Web address is cdnairfield.com. And it's if you're in that industry, it's basically a one-stop shop for anything that goes inside the fence on an airfield. So, in a nutshell, that's what we do. Oh, there's a bigger crowd in here than I thought.
So the idea behind this is because of the state of what he just said. What I'd like him to do now is just very quickly tell us exactly how you can find out anything about his business. Because if you're looking for some airfield lights, he's going to give you a web address here that or a name that you can do a search on, and then you'll be able to find his website.
So if you were to type in Canadian Airfield Solutions, we'll definitely pop up in the first page, or the direct address of cdnairfield.com. Either one of those will get you there just fine. Or lastly, if you looked for ADB Airfield Solutions, which is the world's largest supplier of lighting and control systems, and specifically went to Canada, I would pop up as your resource to contact. So any of those will get you there.
Okay, so that was a shameless plug. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk briefly about his first impression. And one of the things that we try to always do is be transparent. And so some of the things that we've done successfully here is show the fact that we are discovering our path as we go through it, and we're not perfect at what we do. And so I keep bringing in different people to take a look at the website, and including the people that are watching out there. If you go to our website, NexLev Solutions Inc., and take a look at it, you will find that we are continually reinventing ourselves and working on different projects. The project that is center stage at the moment is the professional project management course by NexLev. It uses Jason Treach, who's been our guest speaker here in the last little while, and he is a person that we use as a subject matter expert, and he gave us all the course material. We put it in based on my past learnings of learning management, and then what we are trying to do now is build up our presence on the web in a couple different ways. One is being very vocal in, obviously, the video format. We're starting to put our web page together. We have built ourselves a social media network, which feeds into Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, and a whole series of other ones to try and get the word out there that we are the new players in the marketplace, and you may want to take a chance and take a look at what we've got in order to get your project management learning that you have to do in order to get your PMP or to get your 36 PMI points. So what I'm going to ask my brother to do now is just talk about what he's done over the last day or so, what his impressions were of where we're falling down and what things we have to increase here. One of the things that he's very good at is the web presence, building a real nice website and being able to analyze where the people who come to the website travel. And so I would just like him to talk briefly about some of the things that we haven't done very well and things that we need to enhance.
So I'll give you a 5-second sort of historical starting point for me. I spent more than a decade in sort of my formative years getting in, being grown up and working for somebody with a company called Bose Corporation, which most of you know. And what you most probably don't know is you recognize them as a company producing hi-fi and audio and stereo for high-end automobiles and those kinds of things. But if you're an employee of the company, what you find out very quickly is the owner, Dr. M.R.G. Bose, was a professor at MIT, I think, until the day he stopped working. And if you met him somewhere, he'd mention that he's a professor at MIT, not that he was Bose Corporation. So I learned through them the value in the corporate world of additional education and ongoing education, and the theory that you might be prepared to be a junior person in this company, but there's a lot of education that has to happen to take on that next role. So they were very much supporting anybody in the company to move on with education. And so with that as my background, and then with the 25 plus years in senior sales positions, what I recognized very quickly is that selling in the sort of stereotypical used car manner is most horrific thing you'd ever want to have done to you or do for a living. But a true salesperson actually just simply educates the customer base to what's available to them, what will solve that one problem they've got right now they can't seem to have solved, and for that matter, what the value is that they're going to reach into their pocket and pull out and spend some hard-earned money on. And so I've got the advantage of having an inside look into NexLev because I've met the CEO and had some good chats with him. Of course, I've known my brother all my life to know what his strengths are, and so I can honestly say that what's being offered by the company is second to none. It's the highest level of online education, the highest level of project management training, and so I look at it and say, well, there's nothing I can bring to this, with the exception of, as just a standard customer, would I come to their site and buy the product? And that's where quickly my history and my background says, I don't know if I would. And so my comment is that there has to be a very clear, very quick, because you only get so many first impressions, ability for a customer to come to the site and understand why, with all the project management things that are out there, that you would quickly say, I don't need to look anymore, this is the one I want. And the real answer to that is because of the past history of Jason with his considerable project management expertise and being able to give that for really a fraction of the value by buying it in an online course form. And then I'm that guy that says, you can give me the best material ever, but if you give it to me in a format that's just an ebook or a difficult way for me to consume it, then that's no value. And that's where I see what my brother has done for his last career, is presenting things in a format that isn't an ebook. It's truly an online learning process, and in my opinion, more efficient than going to a classroom, because you can do it at your pace, you can do it at your time, and you can do it at your speed and your learning level. So there's a bunch of things that I see on this that think this is phenomenal, and it can really bring value, not just to the individuals, but to the corporations that are paying for their individuals to attend this course. but you have to get past the initial impression when you hit the website to pull the credit card out and get there. So my 2 cents on that are simply clarifying what the message is. What are you getting for your money? What the benefit is? What you're doing that's different than everybody else, and then taking any roadblock. Don't ask too many questions. Don't make people jump through hoops. If I've decided I want to buy this course, I want to get on it. Let me have the advantage to put my credit card in and buy that. So that's my generalization of what I would say the next step for NexLev from a sales standpoint probably needs to be.
Okay, so he's my younger brother, so I don't listen to half the crap he says, but some of the things that he stated there do ring true, and so we have spent a lot of time in the last 3 or 4 months trying to build up a social presence. And so the social presence, one of the things that I spent a lot of time at when I was with the school division was trying to raise a profile of the cyber school to the point where the students would know about it long before schools, people my age would know about it, because they are tapped into the World Wide Web. And so I use the internet as my delivery model and my marketing model. And so one of the things that I tried to do is raise what I called the social media clout of this company. And so I had some of my own personal clout that I've been working on since 2003, and so this is just really nice to see now our company NexLev start to climb up the ladder when it comes to social media. So I'd let Scott just comment briefly on that, on how he sees that and how he is going to try and embrace it as well, because I think everybody, and this is not a slight on anyone, is that it's a continuous thing that you need to work on, because in reality, people are now using the internet as their method of getting information on companies, on products, and on the things that they would like to purchase, even down to the point now where a lot of sales are happening across the internet. And so if you do social media correctly, you should be able to solve that. But I'll let Scott say those things in his own words.
So it's a really valid point. I mean, as we all know, if it's on the internet, it's true. So it's one of the things we all get a little bit biased to, is the fact that for every time I type in something into a search engine like project management or jelly beans, 8 out of 10 things I'm going to bump into either doesn't apply, or is something not quite exactly correct, or there's a prince in some foreign country that wants to give me $39 billion if I just give my credit card info. So there's a lot of stuff you have to go through. One of the things that I'm thoroughly impressed with that NexLev has already done is how defined they've been able to make the search terms that seem correct to be active for them and to make sense. And so I think you can always do better at those kinds of things, but I think generally speaking, the customers that find the NexLev project management course are the customers that were meant to find it. And so I'm hugely impressed with that. In fact, my own personal company, I need to advance that capability as well. So the real thing that happens, I think, now is our attention span. Whether we like it or not, we're victims of the digital age, and we get the benefit of that. But our attention span is probably 15 seconds when it comes to one of these things. If it doesn't catch us then, and then give us a reason to continue looking and reading, then they're on to somewhere else. And of course, any analytical program will show you how many people come to your site and disappear right away. And so I think there's an opportunity in electronic format to present something that is a pretty onerous thing to do in a classroom format that has a huge advantage for personal and corporate citizens, and yet you have to get past the point that everybody comes to your site, it's a little bit jaded to believing anything they read on that site. And so you really have to get the value of the corporation to pop up very quickly. As I mentioned earlier, it's really the ability to have the most seamless classroom experience and the most up-to-date and world-renowned project management capability all in one package. So, to me, that's the key factor going on right now.
And so, one of the big tasks that when I first joined this company was to make sure that people understood. Jason Treach has a real reputation within Saskatoon and within the province as being one of the leaders in project management, and he is like renowned and is sought after to speak. And he's only one person, and it makes it really difficult for him to be able to fulfill all the requests that he gets in order to speak about project management. So to be able to take that and put it onto the online environment makes it very scalable, and a lot more people then can access his expertise. The one thing that we didn't look at is the fact that we live in Saskatchewan. And so that was a learning process for us to take a look at the fact that there's 1 million people in Saskatchewan. which is okay. That's 1 million people. But how many of those people would actually purchase project management? Out of that group, you may be down to 200,000. How many of those actually have found another method of getting their project management? And then you're into a smaller group. And so it was important to take Jason's expertise and the one that he's built over the last 14 years doing project management in Saskatchewan and make sure the world knows that. And in order to get to that point, you have to figure out what's the best vehicle to enable to take his expertise and to tell the world about his expertise so that he becomes a person that people are seeking worldwide, not just in Saskatchewan. And so that was the first challenge that I came across when I came here, is that Jason is a humble man, and when you talk to him, he will tell you what he's done in the past, but he won't be the type of person who likes to write about things on the World Wide Web and all other stuff. So the first step that I had to get him to do is to build his own presence. So he created his JasonTreach.com, and that, if you click on that, that'll take you to his blog. His blog then is set up in such a fashion that it allows him to just speak. And that's kind of like what we do here. I became well known for what I do outside of Saskatchewan. I was better known outside of Saskatchewan than I was in Saskatchewan because I don't like standing in front of people and telling people about myself. But I have no issues with writing something in my blog about this is what I did, it failed, and I tried something else. And so I look very human in my approach to the way I do things. Jason's the same type of person, and is now starting to realize the fact that you don't just post things on the World Wide Web about how great I am and how you need to do this and all that other stuff. The things that become viral and the things that resonate with other people are ways we fix the things that we're not good at. And so when we're talking on the World Wide Web, and this 7 months ago or 8 months ago, this company never would have stood in front of you and said, you know, our website sucks. We need to really work on our website. Here's what it doesn't do. We never would have had that on here because people would view that as, oh, well, we're not doing something right. The actual opposite is true. What it shows you is that we're human, we're willing to work on things and make things better. Is our project management course great? Yes, it's awesome. Will it get better? Yeah. 5 years from now, it's going to be the most phenomenal thing you've ever seen on the planet. The whole idea behind that approach is that we are human, we'll continue to get better, we'll make mistakes, and we'll continue to work on it. The difference between us and other companies, we will continue to work on it. Your customer support here, you run into a problem, you give us a feedback, we'll continue to ask the questions, and that's going to make us stronger in the long run. And so that's our approach to things. It's also the reason why we set up our pricing as cheap as it is. And people say, well, Jason, if you want him to do a face-to-face, it's going to cost you close to $2,000 to have Jason come in per person and to stand in front of a group of 12 people. He's going to charge $2,000 for each one of those people to do his presentation. Well, we can offer online a lot cheaper than that because of the fact that more people can take it, and so it's an economy of scale. So one of the things that we've been challenged with here and we've been trying and struggling with is, where do we put the price? Do we charge $2,000? I don't think so, because people still see the value of having Jason stand in front of them and be able to ask the questions as a marketable and a worthwhile cost. And a lot of companies still want that, and so we still do that type of consulting. What the World Wide Web does is we can do exactly the same thing. If you notice, the last 2 weeks, Jason was here. And so as we start to have more and more people take the course, Jason can come and actually sit where Scott is, or if he's actually technically literate and knows how to do things, unlike this gentleman, and can get on the World Wide Web and onto the broadcast, then you can ask him questions. And so we will actually start inviting people who are taking the course from us to come and join us in this discussion, and then you can ask Jason directly. So it's even better than the face-to-face, because for a half hour you can monopolize him completely and ask him all the questions that you want to ask, or you can send us an email and we'll answer the question here. And so you will. This is our forum for us to be able to share what we do in the project management, and this is your online forum that will allow you to do a lot of things. So, long-winded question coming up here for Scott. Sorry it took me so long to get there.
Oh, wake up, hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Pricing.
Yes.
So when we looked at pricing, Scott has a few opinions on how pricing should work. I'm not saying we're going this style, but this is his philosophy, and I think it's worthwhile throwing out there because it does lend itself to some of the options that are available. So.
Yeah, as Darren said, I have really strong opinions about pricing. I'm that guy that if you sell me something for $10 and I find out somebody else paid $8, you've just lost all credibility with me. So pricing should be open, and and available for everybody to understand. It should be fair, it should be consistent. It doesn't mean that everybody always pays the same price, because there is the reality that if you buy one car versus the Avis that buys a fleet of 200,000 cars, they have a buying ability that allows them to negotiate differently. But I do think you have to start with establishing what the market value of your product is. And in this case, the market value as a starting point is something, say, $2,000 per person for introduction into this. So you need to offer it into the market at a point where a larger percentage of the market can afford it, and so you value it at something, whatever that number might be. And then I think you have to recognize the fact that even though the value is a couple $1,000 or a couple $1,000,000, whatever it is, that there is a larger market of people out there that need this, to use this, and you'd like to have as your customer base. And so it might be in your interest to find some price that the company can survive at, some relatively thin margins in order to introduce you and the product with the knowledge that if you do a good job on this, customers always prefer to do business with people that have done business with in the past, know they were treated well, know that their purchase was respected. And so I think you establish a price that's really kind of cutting edge, because you can sell 10 units and go out, or you can try selling 10,000 units and survive on a smaller margin. And then I think you do have to have the recognition that somewhere along the line, some big guy is going to come along, and the Canadian government or the U.S. government or whoever, and say, we need 5,000 units of this, 10,000 units of this, what's my price? And so you have to be able to say, we can operate on really razor-thin margins when you've got that kind of deal. So there's some fairly logical, anybody in sales thinks along those lines. But the problem that comes with that is you have to make sure that the customer understands that they're getting one heck of a deal, and that really boils down to the best job you could do to describe what the customer's getting. I have no problem spending a premium on a product that I know I'm getting a value on. I sure get mad when I pay 99 cents for an app, and I open the thing up, and it's a piece of junk, and it's 99 cents. I'll buy a coffee for $5 and not worry about it. That 99-cent app, I'll never buy another app off that company again. So one of the things I will say, without trying to be too long-winded, I've met the team here, and I'm impressed by them all. And one of the things I think is different, and again, it's one of those realities of buying on a virtual store instead of a brick-and-mortar store. You have the feeling sometimes that after I've made a purchase online, the company disappears and I'm kind of left on my own. Brick-and-mortar store, you can always go knock on the door and scream at somebody. And in the case here, what I love about their model and their thought process is it's just like a brick-and-mortar store. There is a support staff. There is internal people that will handle this until whatever your issue might be will be taken care of. And it's a company like any company expects to be here 20 years from now. And better than that, expects you to be a customer of theirs 20 years from now. So it's it's nice to see that, because that's the difference between the really inexpensive ebook version of a project management course download versus the this is truly at a value way beyond what they're asking you to pay for it, and you're still getting all the added benefits with it.
We have 2 minutes, but wait, let's give a round of applause. Hey, Granzo, nice answer.
Thank you very much. I'll be here for another 2 minutes.
Okay. The pearl of wisdom for this week is, we have a project management course that is well worth the money that we're going to charge you. My suggestion to you, and I'm not biased in any way, shape, or form here, buy our product. You can find it at pmp.nexlevinc.com. You can also find it by typing in NexLev Solutions Inc. You can also find it by coming back next week on Thursday at 11 o'clock, because we're going to be here. It's now 1 minute away, so we are signing off. Thank you very much, you guys, for coming to the live webcast. I noticed we had some viewers on the outside. We'll be posting this on the World Wide Web. I'll break it up into smaller little videos, and we'll have all sorts of information here for you to take a look at this week. So once again, thank you for coming by. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.